Classic Movie Salon. Today we're going to be talking about a screwball comedy, and boy, has there never been a point in history when screwball comedy was needed more. I will be joined today by Colleen Costello, Matt Ward, who is in a car on his way to Scotland, and Tachi, I am hoping will also be joining us. We'll be talking about that movie and whatever else comes up. And for some reason, Colleen is showing up in the room twice. And I hope Huzzah's not being all crazy. All at the same time, I'll be pushing to Facebook Live because I'm a machine. Colleen Costello, how are you?
Hello. Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little bit sleep deprived, but otherwise...
Why are you sleep deprived?
I have weird sleep patterns, I guess.
Oh.
That don't include as much sleeping.
How many pots of coffee then are we up to today? Is the real question.
Well, it's Death Wish.
Always Death Wish, I think, isn't it? Or
no, it isn't.
Oh, okay.
Hold on one second. I'm doing the push to Facebook.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it on.
Now you're hearing us again because that's Facebook.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what did I leave open? It's open.
Yep, it's not you.
Like I muted the phone.
All right, we're going live, and
yes.
We're live.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. How are you? And how is it looking a little autumnal in your background?
It's what do I have? Oh yeah, I have my leaf. I have my.
Oh yeah, you are rocking.
Got my hockey, my pumpkin, and
you're ready.
There's another pumpkin.
Wow.
There's Kathy's art.
Oh,
there's
nice.
A skeleton.
I'm pro skeleton.
And a broken boomerang down below. My boomerang broke.
Oh, I'm sorry about your broken boomerang.
It wasn't even.
I've never said that.
It wasn't even from a bad toss. It broke.
I've never said I'm sorry about your broken boomerang.
Well, now you can say you've said it. And that boomerang did come from Australia. I smuggled it into the United States, I'm happy to say. Yeah.
Did you really?
I did.
So it's authentic.
Yeah, here it is. And I have the other piece. Here it is. It's goes like that. Yeah, and it's got real Aboriginal art on it.
Oh wow.
I got it somewhere in Sydney, or I don't remember, but and someone told me, they're like, oh, you need to be careful. And I thought, well, no big deal. It's just a boomerang and bring it home. And then someone said, oh, no. Be careful trying to get that in through in customs or whatever. And I said, serious? No, ha ha ha. And they're like, no, it's a weapon. And I'm like, yeah, really. I live in New York City, and just like, da. And they're like, no. This is what they were made for, and you fling it and I'm like, people, they'll take it, and I'm like, I ride the subway, so I'm like, I hit it, and someone's like, no, they took mine. I'm like, all right, so I'm here, I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get arrested when I land. No big thing. I mean, they're more like, you got fruit, So like, I didn't bring
Matthew is here.
Hi, Matthew.
But he can only type today, and he's still wearing a hat. And Matthew has been working on a big movie that he's shown us a couple behind the scenes things of, and huge, like
fireballs.
Giant, yeah, he said six gallons of gasoline on some of these fireballs. And hello to Matt, and who else is over here on the Facebook? And Paul Harkins is over here on the Facebook Live. Tachi will be here momentarily-ish, I'm guessing. So have you now experienced autumn temperatures in the Northeast? Or is it
well, a little bit. It's been like last night, about 6 yesterday p.m., 7 p.m. It's a little crisp, but it's going to be back 80 this week, I think. So 70. It's going back up again, and the leaves are turning. So it's a little bit. It's getting there. It's been nice. It's been, pants weather and a light jacket. So we're getting
very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's starting.
Break out the pants, everybody.
It's nice. It's good. They recommend leaving the house with pants on. lately.
I'm pro. I always try to leave the house.
Hi,
with
Matt.
pants on.
Yeah, and we have some news, with this is a film with monkeys and chimpanzees, and I read the Times this morning, and the local bear, well, not local to Connecticut, local to Jersey bear called Petals, and I had put this in one of our messages. It seems that Petals, we call Petals because he's a black bear and he's big, like 12 feet tall. He walks upright, and he kind of walks through Jersey neighborhoods and just, kind of, he lives in the woods and all, he took on, people have, there's been lots of, he's dead. They think he got, Petals they think he's dead because, and he's called Petals because he became bipedal and he can't walk on all fours. It's suspected that he was injured and he adapted by walking upright. And there were lots of photos of him doing such and video and all this. So Petals, the park rangers. Hi, Tachi.
Hey.
Where are you?
In my house,
Tachi.
just a different part of my house.
Different location. Yeah.
It's like you've traveled. You changed the angle, and now it's like you could have said you're anywhere. We would have totally.
Yeah.
I'm in Bermuda.
Yes, the Bahamas.
Bermuda.
Or Dallas, or what? Seattle, or
Exactly.
yeah. Wow.
Hurrah, says Matthew.
And how has the after hurricane situation been in Florida?
Back to normal. I mean, there really wasn't any real damage in this part of South Florida. People in Palm Beach County had like maybe a little bit of damage, but nothing serious. But yeah, we're all good down here. Yes.
Very cool. And I hear in the a little bit north of you, less lucky that there's a little more flooding up north.
Yeah. North Carolina got a lot of flooding and such.
Yeah.
And welcome to the classic weather salon, where we talk about weather every single week. Matthew will be letting us know how we can just pretty much guess. In the UK, it's cloudy. Just go with cloudy.
Now that would be new if it would be cloudy in the UK.
Well, actually, that's the southwest, near southeastern, near the London areas where that cloudy pocket hangs. Although he's heading towards Scotland, which can be quite cloudy.
Right, Ireland too.
Ireland too, rainy all the time. But it can be really sunny and pretty in England. Beautiful.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. I was when I was there several years ago. It was actually very sunny.
Yeah, it can be, and
good. Matthew saying good day all. Good day, Matthew. We wish we could hear you, but one day we'll all sit together again.
Yes.
Hang out.
Today I was having some worries about Huzzah and hoping we'll get to stay on. I don't know.
Well,
why do you think?
I don't know. There's just no tweet activity. No getting that feeling. I hope I'm wrong.
This
is the funny thing, and I forgot until just now that I know several people who were trying to do the API thing with Facebook and just got a black screen. So I was like, okay, I hope that means that I hope that doesn't mean something for us.
API
from Facebook. So it was from 3 different platforms that people had problems. So I said, okay, well, yeah, and it was Huzzah, it was Smile Time, and it was something else. So I don't know. Hopefully, we seem to be okay. Yes.
Yeah,
it's because we have that classic movie magic.
Exactly. We just keep going, and also just for record's sake, this is episode.
Wow!
So that means that this show has been going for 50 weeks, starting as the classic movie blabulation, then moving to classic movie salon when I could smell Blab was going bye-bye. And I'm like, we should probably change the name of this. And Matthew came up with Salon, and that's what we went with. And the domain name was available. And so you go to classicmoviesalon.com. It's always aimed at the next show, easy to find. And so if Huzzah goes away, we'll be somewhere else.
Yes.
I hope. It just never ends. So Monkey Business, I had seen before. And after this week, I was definitely in the mood for a screwball comedy, and this was definitely Screwball. I guess the things on a second viewing, I could kind of. I'm not a big laugher to begin with, and screwball comedy needs to be really screwball. And I sort of felt like when things got really screwballs, that's when I started to have a good time. But that could have been because of my second viewing. Tachi, had you seen this one before?
I had not seen it before, but I knew Monkey
cool.
Business. I just hadn't seen it before, and so. But this was as usual, a great opportunity to see it, and I needed just something lighthearted. So this was a good lighthearted comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I don't know if I either rented it, kind of back Blockbuster days, so it's a while back, or TCM. I don't know, and I knew it was goofy. I'd forgotten quite a bit of it. And yeah, it lags a little, maybe in the beginning, certain spots. Yeah, and but then picks up and kind of. It's really goofy, and I think once Esther starts concocting, but again, we needed it. We needed to laugh. We needed a tough week, and really tough week. So tough couple of months, really, and so yeah.
And a tough 20-something days.
And thank goodness SNL, if you haven't seen it, get it on YouTube.
Please watch it.
Melania Aid and a couple of other sketches, the opening.
Yeah, I thought the debate was great. I thought the debate. Because and while I was watching, and we try to stay up the naughty step, but it's kind of hard to escape it all. Oh, and Paul Harkin's over here too. Hey, Paul. And also Matthew says he's managed to remove the last of the makeup, mud, and blood from the movie.
Oh, wow.
It's going to take an extra bath today, 2 baths.
So let's just touch on the whole mess a little bit, just because.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
And we have comedy to go to. So comedy is probably more necessary now than it's ever been before. Both for truth telling and for a very much needed haha, because there is man, I'm still like, I always hated reality shows since the beginning. Because I was at the time trying to work as a writer in television. So that was really, not all reality shows are written, but at that point they were all non-union.
Oh yeah.
And not that I'm in the union, but it was just taking away from any scripted everything. And now this really seems like it's the way to do business. And SNL just while I was watching the debate, I was texting with a friend of mine who lives in Ohio, and I said I know that Alec Baldwin is studying this saunter around the stage. I'm like, it's too
that was so
weird
creepy
to A, not notice, and B, not like, if you're gonna do Trump, you've gotta
homework.
So great. And
if we're talking about character study,
and look, Alec Baldwin is no angel. Trust me, Alec Baldwin is a very, very, very flawed human being.
Exactly. I mean, the flaws worked in this case.
So, yeah, if there's ever been anyone, if you want to take a shot at Alec Baldwin, there's stuff to do it with.
Absolutely.
But the just pure joy he appears to have in doing the character. Same with Kate McClinton Cheese, or McClintock, or what's her name? I'm saying her name.
It's McKinnon, right? Okay.
Yeah.
McKinnon, that's what it is. Also, she has that thing where performers, when they're doing a character, they enjoy it and you feel it.
Yes.
And that isn't always true in sketches. And from what little I know about SNL, there's a lot of late night writing and last minute changes, and so that the show doesn't suck at all is amazing. But the debate stuff was, oh my god.
Well, the thing
so
too, I think with landing on SNL, sure. Probably some people take it because it's the springboard. It can be to a lot of and success but if you don't love it and love what you're doing, you know, people springboard from there to a lot of great, you know, from comedy troupes and having, you know, so hopefully they are, you know, loving what they're doing and great at it and having slaved and, you know, but it's true.
I just think it's a tough environment for comedy and making comedy.
Yeah, but
it's really competitive. And Matthew's saying, and there's nothing real about reality TV, which is true because reality is boring as hell. The dialogue, it's just excruciating. There is no shots.
And the perfect example is the live streaming, you know, of what's been happening. You know, a lot of it where we're seeing everyone jump on, and a lot of it, you know, some of it really terrific and great.
And I don't know if it's everyone. I think that's the other part of it. I don't think it is everyone jumping.
Well, early adopters.
I think people like Matthew. Yeah. I think that the what has been kind of interesting from watching Meerkat, and I don't watch a lot of Periscope, admittedly. I do spend a lot of time on Snapchat. Snapchat and Twitter seem to be my two main go-tos at the moment, with Facebook and Instagram behind those. But it's like people like Matthew who are showing something, know stuff, have stories to tell. It's a great thing. But on Meerkat, there was a lot of sort of like, I'm alive, I'm brushing my teeth, I'm making coffee, and I understand that's, you know, that is day to day, that's what people do. And I also know that there apparently is something on the internet that came out of Korea, of course, where people like to watch other people eat online, live streaming. So
something for everyone.
Human beings are an interesting variety of tastes.
They're absolutely are. They absolutely are. And I think that I always say this, that there is room in the space for everything, and the market will determine what ultimately survives. So I know what I like to watch, and I know that when I'm watching live streaming, it needs to be something of substance. I can't get with the I'm bored, come talk to me, come roast me to hell. I'm not doing it. But there is somebody who wants that type of thing. And I mean, that's the reality of what that is, the new reality television. How about that? Because reality that we talk about is scripted reality. They throw some bomb in the room and wait for it to go off so that it can be interesting. Because like you said, everyday life is mundane. It takes a long time before something happens. I mean, think about the last time something significant happened, and you know, it's not every day. So they're making these stupid everyday things. They're making these things happen every day, and that's not the way it works. And so you then expect your own life to be as exciting, and it's not quite. Guess what? Their life is artificially exciting. So
yeah, I mean, they live stream Congress, and so, you know, I don't know. C-SPAN's been around a long time, and think about it. This has been the biggest question for years. Is like, really, whose idea was this? Whether that was, I thought, is it some law that this has to happen?
Well, it's for transparency's sake, I would think. You know,
maybe, but who?
It's not interesting.
It's not. When they had the sit-in, you know, that was kind of
that was interesting. Absolutely.
You know,
that was probably the most interesting thing that happened besides filibustering in a long time.
The sit-in, they shut it down. The filibuster was on, and then the sit-in was coming through Periscope. So it was kind of like we're all sitting there going, "Ooh, sit-in." This is, you know, John Lewis is there, and you've got, you know,
So somebody's intern was like, "Hey,"
they're like,
"What is the Periscope you speak of? Do show us, Earthling." So that's how that happened.
And it's also it's so great to see everyone in Congress doing nothing wrong. So,
isn't that wonderful?
Even better, and doing nothing for a reason, granted, which is usually not the reason. But yeah, watching this movie during this week, which is I don't think I'm understating this, the lowest point in American history. We have never been more, I don't know, embarrassing of a nation.
Except I think it's going to go. I think this is not the lowest it's going to go. Sadly, yeah,
and here's the thing: we have been embarrassing as a nation. We just not had it. We haven't seen it live the way we're seeing it now. We've never seen it at this level. We've always been at this level. This has always existed.
Oh yeah,
right. It's just
I don't think this is a new development.
It occurred to me before we came on the air that this is probably why no one else, when there was that scrum to try to come up with a replacement candidate, or when it was seeming like that it was going to get the nomination, and everyone was dropping by the way, and they said, well, wait, and they couldn't convince Ryan to run, and they couldn't. And then it just occurred before. No one else was without skeletons in their closet, and everyone started to realize that there was a digital record somewhere, or because look, the Speaker of the House, not Ryan Hastert, was sent to prison because things were coming, everything was coming up from underground somewhere, and everyone realized now the deal has changed. All their ugly lies and dirty laundry and everything. This is the new reality that. If I want an office, if I run for president, they're going to tear me to shreds. Therefore, not me. So now they're going to have to find someone pristine. Good luck with that. So it's going to be the new ugly, where we're getting primed now for this. How low can you go? And it's going to, how low? There's a new show called Telenovela Wives. Welcome to my telenovela life, or something, whatever. It's the next that's more prep for this. Debates are going to be like, it is what it is. It's going to be like, hello. We're gonna have to find a lot more comedy, I think.
Because my thing is, like, I only wish that the fervor for Mars had come up sooner, because then I think half of the problem would be gone. Because
there's another lander that's going to Eurolander hitting orbit. You mean the planet, right?
No, yeah, the planet Mars. Yeah, yes. As in the planet, not the Mars.
Not the Mars bar. Wow. I do love
Mars. Because I'm just thinking. Look, Trump is bored. He needed something to do. If Mars had come up sooner, I'm certain he would have found a way to get involved with this, and the whole presidential nonsense would not be existent. I'm certain he just needed something to do, and this happened to come along, something to conquer. That's how he operates. He needed something to conquer, and so had Mars been up and functional, that would have been the answer. He could have done that, and not this. That's all. He's bored.
Maybe I think the other thing is Trump is starting to realize that, like, this is a job, and Trump has never had a job in his life. Like, he's never had a job. Like, this is a job. Like you have a schedule. You have people that tell you what to do, and you have to do it because it is your job. Why would a billionaire want a job?
No. That's the thing. He just wanted something else to conquer. As you know, he's very self-centered. Everything, when you listen, nobody is more respectful of women than me. Nobody does this more than me. Nobody knows more about Iran than me. Nobody. So he's very self-centered, and so you can tell he has.
Or he's just extremely right.
That could, you know what?
That could be the other thing. He might be the smartest person, because if someone knows more about generals after 4 deferments,
they really like
Vietnam,
him. They really like him.
And he can't remember which.
That must be it. Then I digress, because that could be it. But I think again, he's that type of individual constantly needs a challenge and constantly needs to conquer. although not very well, he's been in the business world. He's done other things. He has a steak company. He has what has he not done? Run for president. So of course this was his next thing to conquer, and that's what I think. Those are just my 2 cents.
You know what? Matt just got it right. He said first real estate on Mars. Yes. Condos.
Yes, Matt.
So, it's kind of,
Well, he could have started the Mars campus of Trump University. I mean, no shame in that.
It's something to that. It's not developed. And whereas you can't put the United States in bankruptcy court and start over, this Mars is fresh territory. I mean, there's only one car there now, and it's ours. There's going to be another one shortly.
Which
plenty of parking.
Yeah. Now
parking on Mars, way more than Manhattan.
Get a Trump lot going there, and it's no competition. So.
But it has been for anybody on either side of the fence. Like this is not fun for anybody, and it really does seem to be an invitation for like the hater brigade to rise up and get their hate on and really hard. Like it's going to be a very uncomfortable Thanksgiving in a lot of houses this year.
It's going to be damn silent dinners.
And I just like it's really hard to. There's a tremendous amount of false equivalency because neither side is innocent. And that everyone can agree on that there are dirty hands on both sides. But one of those pairs of dirty hands knows how to do the job, and the other
they've been around Washington.
It's pretty obvious.
You don't get to that level in politics by having kept yourself all neat and tidy. You've stepped on some things along the way. You stepped in it.
Well, that's part of the problem with our current system of politics. Even for people who want to try and make a difference and do things cleanly it's damn near impossible because you have to play that same game in order to get anything done. We've been seeing evidence of this for the past 8 years? We've been seeing evidence of that. So
yeah.
I think a lot of it started with a bunch of things, but money in politics never ends well. And when billionaires are trying to buy elections or at least influence them, that's really
and to bring it back to a movie. I would recommend to everyone, and yes, it's Hollywood. It may be idyllic. But a lot of people refer back to Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Even Washington people refer back to it. 1940 it was with Jimmy Stewart and Claude Rains
and also there's a clip running around from A Face in the Crowd. Is it A Face
Andy
in the Crowd?
Griffith, fantastic film.
Yes.
He was,
right?
Patricia Neal and Andy Griffith was before the show. Not Andy Griffith.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a crusading wood drifter.
Yes.
He comes into this town. They give him a radio show because Patricia Neal takes a shining to him and convinces her dad, I think who owns the radio station, they start to just proselytizing on his beliefs, and it's a southern town, and just oh my goodness,
sounds familiar.
But
I think that movie plus a lot of other movies, and then plus real life, shows how desperate people are for some sort of leader. You would think that you can have some sort of loose system where people can kind of govern themselves, and we cannot. And so this is why we're constantly looking for some sort of shining person to lead us into the sunset. Always. And we never quite find that individual.
Yeah, I mean, and luckily, though, our system, is set up so that no one person can have that. But we need a leader. And Obama, I guess there was was probably the best opportunity we've had in a long time, but he wasn't given a chance
He had a Republican Congress.
The way our system is set up,
and that's the way it works.
He had it, yeah. They dug in their heels, and instead of, and there was a great, I think it was New York Magazine had an interview with him a week or two ago, where he said, I get along with all these, leaders and all these people in Congress. Meaning he's referring to Republicans. We talk, we see, we can meet on a lot of ideals. He said, but they can't lose face. He said they can't publicly go back to their, because he said we've had discussions. But they're not willing to agree anymore. They're not willing to compromise. They're not willing to. Whereas once upon a time there were meetings of the minds. There were to get progress, to make now there's they just dig in. They stick their heels in, and he said he said they would, and the unwillingness, and because of
you have to have compromises.
It just grinds to a halt, and otherwise it's non-government. It ceases to function. So how this, we've seen the shutdowns, not just because of budget. It's non-function. It's not working. No one's working. It's just so, but the reason, going back, that the fact of you don't even, and yet it's in our faces of why they refuse to work with him, because of who he is, the man he is. Is just. So here we are again.
Let's dive into the movie.
He's the president of the United States.
A half hour.
Yeah.
Let's get into
I'm
some
ready
monkey
for some monkey
business.
business.
So this movie is a screwball comedy, and my take: screwball comedy is not real. If you are the type of person that's got that could never happen. That could never happen. If that is the way you approach movies, stay away from screwball comedies, because your head will explode. Because all of it's impossible. That's the point. And this one starts out by breaking the fourth wall right out of the gate in the credits, which I love. Which as I was watching, I remembered I hadn't seen the movie, but I used this idea of having a big opening in a live show and then bring the show to a grinding halt. And not, it was a show I wrote with a friend of mine, and we had all this like loud noise. We came in with backpacks and really big clothes and hoodies, and all these lights were flashing, and we sit down and everything just stops, and then we stand up and take our clothes off, and we're totally dressed under the giant clothes because they're so gigantic. And then we would sit there and just kind of wait for the other person. There was just two people on stage, me and Mary Kiva Ryan, who I wrote and performed it with. And we wouldn't do anything. We were waiting for the other person to start, and the audience would, you could hear them, feel them kind of getting uncomfortable. And then I would walk into the audience, grab someone's program, bring it back. We would read it and go, and then I'd put it back and we go, right. And they'd go to black and we'd start the show. And so, and granted, I've never seen a movie do this, and I'm sure other movies have, but I'd never seen it where it's Cary Grant, who is being called Cary off camera by Howard Hawks, the director, and he's credits start running. He opens the door, not now, Cary, and he goes back, and then does it again.
No, Cary.
Yet, and then they start the movie, and obviously he's not Cary Grant anymore.
What's funny is about that is that I didn't even realize it until you're describing it, Joe. Which thank you, because it puts Cary down from his image of that, dominant, suave kind of leading man.
Mm-hmm.
That it sets it up for now. He's going to play this bumbling, which we don't know, scientist who Ginger Rogers as Edwina. We open the door, and now what we're going to see is what you're going to describe, which is not the typical kind of Cary Grant. So we have the director sort of bumping him down a few pegs. Do you think that was what that was about? I don't even know.
I really think it was just purely, it was just, I think it was a way to let the audience know, like, this is how ridiculous this is going to be. And also, if you, like you said at the top, that this movie starts really slow, and the amount of comedy is tiny, and it's almost all exposition, sort of bled in through a couple conversations. It's a lot of remembering to do this, remembering to do it, and it's very we learn about the relationship, his work, this form, like it's so much stuff, like a wave, and the comedy really doesn't start rolling again until the lawyer character, what's his head from across the street, whose name is said 1,000 times, Hank. I thought that was probably the funniest it got, and then it again goes back into exposition. There was a lot of exposition in this thing.
There was, but I personally did not mind the amount of exposition. For some reason, I felt like I needed that setup, not necessarily to understand because it's a screwball comedy, but it was nice to know. And going back to the whole breaking the fourth wall thing, I kind of think, though that was, kind of breaking the fourth wall, it was still in character with who Cary Grant's character was. What's his name? In Barnaby. I'm like, yes, Barnaby. So I was thinking circus. So yes. So Barnaby, it's in character with who Barnaby was kind of an absent-minded. So it would make sense that he would come in and say, you could easily replace that with Not Yet Barnaby, because that was right in character with who he was. So it seemed like it could be either way. It could either be breaking that fourth wall, and it's also right in keeping with what his character was going to be. So it's like an introduction to the bumblingness, made up word. I agree,
but he's not calling him Barnaby, like he's calling him Cary.
Right, he's calling him Cary. Absolutely.
Well, that's why I said, do you think it was a setup for?
I think it acted as a way for us to. It set up his character so that we knew that he was not going to be the normal Cary Grant, like you said, suave, leading mannish. That this was going to be a character that was comical and bumbling and all of those things,
but I also think it's a joke. So I mean, it's a gag. It's a way to make things funnier, and this movie is kind of the perfect tone to do it in. And again, if you broke down this script and were like, as people do, like, how many laughs per page do you have? After that, it's all him just kind of like, I don't remember I'm absent. She literally says absent-minded professor, and until the thing really gets rolling. But I also just want to point out, Paul Harkin said, I really like Monkey Business. What a great documentary on how Viagra was made. I think the parallels there's lots of parallels. That was the one thing where things were true. So great part about once the ball gets rolling is it just gets more ridiculous. The screwball seems to ramp up in terms of tone and comedy as the movie goes. Like it doesn't sort of like, we're ridiculous. It kind of like gets to, we're ridiculous, and then calms down a little bit, and then just gets slowly more and more ridiculous with the monkeys getting out, and one doesn't have the right uniform. So he's a chemist working at a company and he's trying to make a formula that the president or CEO wants called B4, as in before you take it, and it's like what you felt like before feeling crappy and old, I guess. And that's what gets the ball rolling.
Yes, B4. Yeah.
So on the this is not a trying to figure out where Bringing Up Baby is another Howard Hawks comedy. Is after this? That's after this, right? This is 50. Oh wow!
Before,
okay. So
Bringing Up Baby is about 1939.
So these guys kind of know each other that way. I think that was the
yeah.
other thing, that maybe with the opening credits, like, they've worked together before. So
They also did Only Angels Have Wings. They did have it right here. They did a couple of films
Matt
together.
Matt Carmen's pointing out there's also a Marx Brothers movie called Monkey
filmography.
Business. True, and I also had the Elvis song in my head. I was watching Monkey Business. I'm like, when does the Elvis song come on? Oh, right, that won't happen because there is no Elvis in Monkey Business. But there is Marilyn Monroe. Oh, right, his girl Friday.
And his girl Friday.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
sorry,
So,
I apologize. So they did Carrie and Hawks did that was
they know each other.
41,
They've done comedy, work together.
This
is Ginger Rogers of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, who does a little bit of dancing in this, but for the most part not. And I thought she was a great pretty much throughout. Cary Grant's character Barnaby is so absent-minded Professor bonkers that she really is sort of like almost a caretaker for the guy, because he can't even leave his house and lock the door, and because he's getting ideas because he's a genius.
Again, it goes back to that whole, like, what was the film that we watched? Everything is starting to jumble together with on the plane. The plane is going to crash, and
the Jimmy Stewart.
The Jimmy Stewart
the Jimmy Stewart. Oh, that was no highway in the sky.
So that same type of character where he is a brilliant person, a professor who's so brilliant that everything else suffers. And again, I go back and I think about my dad, who is was a scientist, and I'm like, that was totally not him, and totally. But it's interesting how popular culture brings up all these stereotypes. So now you have the stereotype of what a researcher or a professor is: absent-minded, bumbling, so brilliant that everything else suffers. And this is truly in character with that type of thing, but not necessarily
not at all.
always the reality.
I think that's
as we know.
I worked a little bit with Patrick Stump, who's the lead singer of Fall Out Boy, and him in person working. He's so kind of shy and not really loud at all, like anywhere. And then at the time I was working with him, he had a solo album that came out and did not do very well, which is probably why Fall Out Boy got back together. And and I never told him. I'm like, wow, I really don't like your band. Really, that song with the bullet thing, it just drives me up the wall. But I was going to say that because it's not good. And I still don't. The new stuff I don't like either. Sorry if you're anybody from Fall Out Boy, if you're watching.
You're not a big fan. Yeah.
But does not fit the archetype of the lead singer rock star, like, at all. Like, maybe poet folk singer at a coffee shop, but not like rock star. And I think it's the same with Absent-Minded Professor. It's the same with everything. We have just presumptions about people based on a bunch of stories that we have told ourselves, and that's reality.
And it's not that these people don't exist. Exactly. And it's not that these people don't exist. There certainly are the loud lead singer of rock bands. There certainly are the absent-minded professors. The thing is, it just that's what a stereotype is, or an archetype is. It comes to characterize everybody who fits this. So yeah, that's
and in this movie, there is. It's definitely not like a love interest, but I guess they sort of get to play it a little bit. Where Barnaby, Cary Grant's character, works is it's not really a pharmaceutical company. It seems to be they make a bunch of stuff. They make like nylon, anything chemical they're making. So this is
right.
Yeah,
it seems
like if do you make things with chemicals? Like, we have chemicals. Yeah. That's what they do. So this combination of chemicals is supposed to make you younger. That's what he's working on, and they're really counting on it. And apparently, the CEO of the company is, wow, he's counting on it. He has hired Marilyn Monroe as his secretary. She can't type, and as she leaves the room, he says, "Anybody can type." So I think his reasoning for getting like Paul Harkins pointed out, I think we're watching the birth of Viagra. That seems to be the case. So when and Cary Grant's character doesn't even for a second appear to notice Marilyn Monroe at all, or not a lot, and she is more than flirting with him, and she puts her leg up on a chair just to point out, like, here, these are the new nylons that you're working on, and he's like, oh, the whatever gobbledygook number this, and he's totally like looking at the chemical, like, what a great job we did, and he's not looking at Marilyn Monroe at all. So that's funny, because when he does have, let's back it up a little bit, the things seem to be going wellish, but there's more testing that needs to be done, and again, you never question a screwball comedy. He starts testing on himself using the formula, and that is a bad idea, which is pointed out to him, which at least I appreciate. Like, at least somebody points out, like, that's against the rules. Like, that's stupid. Why would you do that? And then it happens again.
If I may say, I would have preferred that Marilyn Monroe's character be somebody else. I understand from a economic standpoint why they have Marilyn Monroe in there. She is unnecessary. It could have been anybody, and
absolutely.
I know why they threw her in there, but I'm just like, really? Your role is, I don't know. I was just like, I would have actually rather that they had somebody who was, just a beautiful bombshell playing the same role, and it would make just as much sense. But now, I'm like, why is Marilyn Monroe in there? For what? That's why, exactly.
And Ginger at some point, well into the film, even refers to her as that pinup girl, as a flippant remark, but she was really more than just a pinup girl by then. She was Marilyn. So it's kind of like one of those cheeky. They even alluded to it in the script. So kind of like they were poking fun at themselves even in a way, because they knew by casting her that it was sort of like, well, yeah, we put her in it, and even Coburn's comment, well, typing's not everything, it's anyone can type, so they're kind of alluding to, I know, I hired her, she's not, and that's almost even a casting thing. We have her here. It's almost an acknowledgement, which came first, the picture or the script,
it's economics, it's
chicken or the egg kind of thing, and
works.
Marketing, because they're still doing it today in Hollywood. Unfortunately, it's they're putting people in movies who can. Zoe Saldana in Nina Simone, it was like,
Jesus
really?
Christ, here we go with that. No,
right?
That was an abomination. Exactly. So you're doing. It's the same thing with. I'm sorry, love you, Halle Berry, but you can't really act. And so it's the same thing when you have Halle Berry in the. When you pull these people because it's box office draw, it makes economic sense. I get it. I'm always like,
I'm not saying that it isn't still a reality, because it is, but it seems like stars are less of the bankable item unless it's like Tom Cruise that plays international. You just don't throw famous people and sell tickets.
You're right.
It still doesn't work that way. Whereas before, I thought it was more than.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Well,
and the thing is too, we're still talking about relatively the early days of film as a mass medium where people, so it's still a novelty. So you can throw in monkeys and throw in all these things and people will go to see it. But even more so because you have somebody that's quote unquote a bankable star like a Marilyn Monroe. You can't do that.
Thing now with her, if you see her in Bus Stop, which is definitely not as well known as Gentlemen Prefer Blonde or any one of the other she's and they, by all accounts, anyone that had to work on set with her, really, it was difficult. She just couldn't remember lines. She couldn't, she was so good in Bus Stop. And it's a straight up dramatic role. It's not singing, it's not dancing, it's not vamping, it's none of this. And there's a few others where she, definitely lesser in her oeuvre, of body of work, but she's completely amazing. I was like, she can do this, and I imagine, this all leads to, how she was a commodity and commodified throughout the whole, someone gets recognized because they are that good, and then gets marketing gets a hold of them, and makeup and wardrobe gets a hold of them.
But on some of the insults, where
and it's
Ginger Rogers' character is like, "I'll pull your blonde hair out by the dark roots," like there was some serious,
I love it.
as the kids say, some shade being thrown, just a little bit. That
was shade. That was serious shade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she's getting her blonde out of the same bottle. So
exactly. I was like, kettle black, sister, kettle black.
Yeah, pot meet kettle.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, and yesterday I went to see finally Queen of Katwe, which is fast forward to 2016, and it's going, and I'm watching it going, yeah, it would have been nice if they went to Uganda. And I'm like watching the credits at the end, and it's like, shut up, Colleen, they did. Because I've seen photographs and films shot in Uganda before, and I'm like, well, it really looks like, the lake, and like, yeah, how'd they do that? It was, and it used all local cast, and in Miranair, and I'm like, will people even see this? It's so darn good.
Yeah, well, there's so many movies that are so great that people don't see because they don't have the quote unquote commercial acclaim that some of the other films do. But did you enjoy it?
Oh gosh, yeah, and it's
yeah.
Well, it's one of these. It's got Lupita. It's got David Oyelowo.
Oyelowo.
Why do I cannot?
Yeah.
Thank
Nigerian,
you.
Of course, I have to know his
name. You have to. I said Tachi will know how to. Every time I say, and I love him in every single thing. So two big, well-known stars, Amir and Air directing. So yes, phenomenal.
Is great.
And the closing credits probably the best one. I've seen this. You see some films do this, especially that are based on true stories. Do this, and they did this. This is what even took it to another level, where they had every cast member with the real person.
That's cool, yeah.
And a hug and an affection. It was, and it's just one of those. Also, that's why I'm shouting it out now, because it's in theaters and it's a good story.
I have the opposite. I was,
during
as
a
many
tough time.
probably were across America looking for comedy. I was psyched. I guess it was Thursday. The new Christopher Guest movie, Mascots, came out on Netflix, and so I'm a fan, and have stolen some stuff from Mr. Guest for my own stuff, and it's not good. really not good. It is really a not good movie. It does whatever the magic is when it works. None of it is in this. It almost seemed like how to make a Christopher Guest comedy. Here's what you do. You do this, 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 and this, and then it's all over. And they did it cheaper because it was on Netflix. And that was that. Prashant's here too. Yeah, we're gonna Prashant, let's say a little bit in the second hour, I'm gonna have Paul bring Paul Harkins on for a second and get his take, and Prashant will bring you on and get your take on. Oh, all right. So
Prashant's in another time zone though, remember. So
it's the middle of the night.
You know what? So
yay. Well,
it's his birthday.
Yay, Prashant! Happy birthday! How awesome!
Yeah. Just got engineering.
Graduated.
Can I?
From
yes, Prashant, that's awesome. Can I just, since we're doing the Colleen, since you like the Queen of Katwe, I'm wondering if you would like the series that was on HBO Showtime, the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. It was really, really good.
Oh, where is that? I don't. Is
on
that
Netflix? So
they have it on
yes,
Netflix?
and so it's based off of a series of books of someone who used to live in Botswana. Who, I think he still lives in Botswana, but he's an English person that lived in Botswana, and it's fictional, based off of kind of his time in Botswana, but he has a main character, and on the show it was played by the singer Jill Scott. Yeah, it's fantastic. So if you guys,
the number one lady detective agency,
it's really good. There's some hilarious episodes, and this was the first major production done in Botswana, and they employed, of course, all local people. They built out the town, so it was really cool. And I know that Jill Scott had gotten pregnant, so I think that's part of the reason it didn't continue. But you'll really, really like it if you are into Queen of Katwe.
Yeah, well, I've seen some films from Botswana and of course, predominantly South Africa. Part of Katwe was filmed in South Africa because they have some studios there. But you know, so Katwe is the name of. I give a shout out to Katwe is the name of the town, the village in Uganda where Fiona came from. She became the chess champion, not only of Uganda but in Africa for the continent. She competed in a national, multinational, continental tournament. For chess, and just so it's one of these just classic, but not typical whatsoever, feel good kind of, and you can do anything stories, which again we need now in addition to comedy. And I had seen the trailer. I looked at the trailer last night, Joe, for Mascots, and I was, you know, and I saw Graham Norton had Chris O'Dowd, who played the Fist. Mascot. You did see. I know you watched Graham Tachi, and I saw the clip for the Fist. You know, he played, and I'm like, oh, that looks funny. And then I watched the trailer, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And I didn't watch. And I also Christopher Guest, genius, you know, and I thought, yeah, I don't know. So I decided to go to Katwe last night because a week or two ago I wanted when it debuted, and yeah, all local, all Ugandan cast. Cool. And just, oh goodness gracious, so definitely just and I have to go to Uganda. There's something about that country. Like I've read books, I don't know, it's yeah, so
cool beans.
I just don't, the chess part, luckily I know what the pieces are, because I don't know.
I sent you a couple of invites. I don't know if you're getting them. Anyway. Let me know. The screwball comedy gets ratcheted up, well, a couple of ways. Again, if you watch this movie and say this is impossible, you're not going to get through the movie. So the janitor, yeah, but there's still
movies are all about
the logical and the thriller always kills the thriller, in my mind. Because when it's, you know, if it's a screwball comedy, all right, whatever. So in this one, the janitor. Okay.
Prashant's request refreshing.
The janitor apparently gives the two monkeys who are in the lab a bath and puts the wrong number uniform on the wrong one, so they think a younger one who's 6 months old is actually one who's supposed to be like 84, and a 6-month-old monkey acting like an 84 or an 84-year-old monkey acting like a 6-month-old monkey would make you think that things are going pretty well for the drugs, and then they realize that's not the case, that they switch the uniforms and they put them back in their cages, but the smart monkey just watches and figures out what the chemist who went to school for this is doing, and then lets himself out of the cage and then mixes up his own formula and then decides to drop it in the hole in the water cooler for the water, where it stays for the majority of the movie. And so if you're okay with just that, then Cary Grant decides that he is going to be the guinea pig for his own drug, and he takes a shot of it, doesn't like the taste, and of course goes for some water. And he drinks the water, which is the monkey's formula, and which is apparently the real one, the one that actually works somehow, or maybe it works in combination. We don't know. And now all of a sudden, Cary Grant is having a reaction to the point where he can't see, and he asks his assistant scientist to hey, how are you?
Hey, Prashant.
Same
Hey,
here.
Prashant.
Great to see you.
Congratulations on graduating.
Hello.
Can
I
you hear
hope
me?
everyone is able to hear me.
Hello? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
We hear you.
All right, this is going well. Hold on. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello.
I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess no. That would be a no.
Let me.
We can hear you fine. So now we're going to type. That's weird. I guess hit refresh and yeah, because if you can't hear us,
he's
this
not
is
able
really
to
not going to
hear
work
us.
well at all.
Do you try your earphones?
Yeah, he can't hear us, so you got to type everything. Yeah, we can't hear you.
I'm able to hear Tachi and Colleen. Yeah. Joy is not audible.
Oh, okay. You hear us.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
So you can't hear
You
me?
hear us? Oh, good.
Oh, you just can't hear Joe.
Oh, that's
Continue.
interesting. Okay. Well,
Wow.
I wonder why. Well, congratulations on your degree and your birthday. And now we lost.
All right,
Oh.
well, that went well.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. Well.
Okay. That I know sometimes the internet isn't. They might. Oh, and I think at nighttime lose broadband. They even I've read,
Yeah, I don't
but
think
he's in a
it's-
big city.
yeah,
I think in
I think
Bangalore.
the connection will be in
or he might
would be okay.
traveling.
Especially if we got that far. Him not hearing us, that I don't know. So back to the movie. Now, Cary Grant, he's taking the stuff. He thinks he's going blind. He has his assistant now taking notes. And his character wears really thick glasses throughout, so doesn't have very good eyesight. And so he thinks he's blind because he has his glasses on. And then when he takes them off, he realizes that he can see perfectly. And away now he's the CEO has called because when they all met for the first time and they thought that the formula was going great and the 84-year-old monkey was acting like the 6-month-old monkey, and then when they realized things weren't going well, then the president was not happy about it at all. But now when he hears that things are going well, he's coming down, but Barnaby, Cary Grant's character, doesn't want to deal with it and goes out a window. And then he goes off to buy a car and get a suit and a haircut for the thing that they're supposed to do tonight with his wife. And that's when more screwball stuff happens.
Yes. Can we talk about this haircut? It's really interesting that I guess they called it a poodle. That's what she called it anyway. I don't know why, but it's like kind of the buzzy on top. And it's interesting because you can really tell, even if you're not of that era, that this was not the haircut that a man of his stature and age, quote unquote, would wear. It looked really young for that time. Again, even if you're not familiar with the styles at the time, you could tell this is not for him. So that buzzed cut was like really hit. And even the barber was like, "Are you sure your wife would like this?" And he's thinking like a 20-year-old, obviously. They say a 20-year-old college student, which is interesting. But they say that's how he was thinking. And this is the haircut, I guess, that was reigning at the time. And the interesting thing is, though, she didn't seem really upset over the hair. Well, I guess by that time they had figured out that it was that he took the serum and that's what was making him do the crazy things. So wondering if she would have been upset with the haircut if he had not, it was not due to the serum. how upset she would have been.
And he also
because that was
drives the crazy
interesting
sports
cut.
car. He buys
And then
a
the
sports car, like no roof.
drives a crazy sports car. It's a 2-seater. Yeah, no roof, 2-seater. But the interesting thing is they don't take it back. You know, even though it's under the thing, I would have thought, I was like, okay, well, this is going back.
And he gets into two car accidents with it. Because he first hits the
yes, 2 car accidents, exactly.
yes.
I like the speed of the repairs that we'll have this fixed at 5 o'clock. Seriously, I waited on body.
Everybody has bumpers for those cars just lying
on
around.
my Honda.
That's totally everybody drives that car, so that's totally normal. Right, exactly.
Everybody has that. Exactly. But you know, also though, think about it. If you want to get reality based, at the time, it's not like everyone had a car either. So it could very well be that he was able to get through so quickly because there weren't a whole lot of other jobs there.
It could have been the one place that had great service that none of us have ever found or heard of.
Ever had.
Doesn't exist in Los Angeles, I'll tell you. And the CEO guy whose character's the actor Charles Coburn, he sends Marilyn Monroe off to find Barnaby, who's out shopping for cars, and it's yet another joke where she is behind like a billboard, and it's just her legs, and he says hello to her, and then they pan up and you see her head. And it's Marilyn Monroe. He knows just from the legs, because not from him being the guy checking out the legs, but because he recognizes the nylons that he designed.
The nylons. Yes.
And now the two of them are very much well, she is very much smitten with him. He is still oblivious to kind of everything, and they get in the car and take off together. And as they're driving, his eyesight is getting progressively worse, and first he gets a truck, and then they have to drop off the 2-seater for the repair, and that's when they go roller skating. He goes off a diving board, which has a funny little bit with like every guy in the place just staring at Marilyn Monroe while she's staring up at Cary Grant, about to make a really horrible dive, and then they go back, get in the car, and then he loses his eyesight again, and he crashes into a fence, or crash number 2 in the car, and she has to drive the two of them back to the company. And while all this has gone on, Ginger Rogers' character is looking for Barnaby, because he was supposed to be home a long time ago. And I also love she's like how cool she is when she doesn't have the drug and mentions that if she was younger, she would give Marilyn Monroe a pop in and then once she does later in the movie, that's exactly what happens.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know it's skipping ahead, but I just kind of want to mention Ginger Rogers and how well I think she played younger her, or the younger when it came to playing the 20-year-old college student, and then later on when she's playing a kid, I think she knocks it out of the park. I'm like, that's exactly how a 20-year-old would. I mean, down to the mood swings, down to the crying, down to the the shine. It really, she really did a good job. And I'm like, she must have either pulled from her own self or did a great deal of studying of somebody who was that age, because she did a really excellent job of portraying somebody younger.
And it was also other than Fred Astaire stuff, I have seen her do a lot of acting, so it was fun to see her in this too. I don't know.
No, it's mostly dancing that I've seen.
Oh right, we saw Kitty Foyle.
She did Kitty Foyle, and
a long time ago.
Yeah, we did, okay. And she won an Oscar for that, Best Actress. So she's only best known for the Fred and Ginger, of course. but she's done some acting and you know, had to fight for that, of course, you know.
Well,
So yeah,
typecast.
she was a triple threat, singing,
Yeah,
dancing.
you heard. I mean, she
you know,
could really blow. She was fantastic. I think the thing is, you know, typecasting. You really get typecast once they discover this is what you know how to do. This is what they always want you to do. So she could dance. We really want her to dance, but that doesn't mean that she's not a good actress. That kind of brings up, if you think about during the blaxploitation era, Superfly, Ron O'Neal was a trained Shakespearean actor, and he was excellent. But once he played Superfly, that's all you could ever do. All you could be is a pimp or a drug dealer. And so, I mean, there probably were some other things that play there, but the thing, you get typecast once you do something. Same thing. This happens a lot in television as well. When you've been on a show that you've been playing this for, I mean, cop show. Yeah. Steve Urkel will always be.
It also reminds me of the,
you know,
Robert Townsend,
even though you play a
movie Hollywood Shuffle, where
Hollywood Shuffle,
where showing these actors
I love Hollywood Shuffle,
have British accents, and then they're, you know, now can you talk jive? Sure, let's talk jive, and then he's right back to Shakespearean trained actor, and it's hilarious throughout the whole thing, and sadly still hilarious. And that was late 80s, that movie, I think, something like that.
Yeah. Late 80s.
But yeah, I thought the combination, again, we're jumping ahead a little bit, the combination of Cary Grant and Ginger Rogers when they were both on the drug, I sort of felt like it helped both their performances because they had someone else to be silly with.
Yes, exactly. And they played off of each other perfectly, I think, especially the scene in the boardroom where they call both of them in. Here they are. They've become the younger person. She's rolled up her jeans. He has his shirt untucked. They're bringing in the monkey. And they all look like three little kids.
Yeah, he's got his shirt untucked.
So the fact that they have somebody else, you're right, Joe, to be silly. Yeah, untucked. And they're like walking in, and then they walk in. They start to walk in. No, come in. That's what kids do. That's exactly what kids do. So I think the fact, you're right, Joe, that they had somebody to play silly with really helped both of their performances, because on their own, yeah, they were fine. But when they got together, they really brought out the silliness in each other.
The other thing for the audience, because once, I can't remember, I'm trying to remember when things get, well, we go through sort of one phase with Barnaby, Cary Grant's character, being the guinea pig, and then Ginger Rogers' character decides that she's going to be the one that's going to be the guinea pig, and she takes the shot before Barnaby can stop her, and does the same, like, I need water, oh, this tastes better, same bit, and then it hits her, and I think that her version of, because his character has always not been reality based at all throughout, like he's always, you know, he's the absent-minded professor, all of that, so he's kind of not grounded in reality, where she is, and when she takes the drug and becomes the sillier person, it's funnier because we're now getting to see her stretch from playing the straight woman to going for the laughs.
And there's a sharp difference. I think that's the thing that makes it that much funnier as well, that the difference between the absent-minded professor and the silly 20-year-old college boy, even though it seems like there's a big difference, there's not that much of a difference, but there's a huge difference between Ginger Rogers and the 20-year-old and then the 10-year-old that she becomes. So that's what, you're right, what makes it funny, the stark difference from the straight-laced character that she plays.
Again, we never do the movie in order, so let's just jump around, because this came up. I can't remember who brought it up. Oh, it was Helen Blunden from Australia brought up the kid, Colleen, the kid in the cowboy hat. When we get to the point where it's later on in the movie, they're both on the drug, and Cary Grant has Ginger Rogers has fallen asleep, and Cary Grant has painted up his face, and he has decided that he is going to, and does, get the help of the neighborhood kids who are playing, I guess you would say, Indians, and he's going to scalp the lawyer.
Well, his character name, the boy is Little Indian, and they of course they call
Which I'm sure
Harry
came from
Red
him.
Red
Red
Eagle.
Eagle? Okay. I don't know why I was thinking Big Red, but Red Eagle, right. So again, I'm always conflicted when it comes to things like this, because I do understand that that was Hollywood at the time, but I'm always like, really,
Right,
again, with the stereotypical,
Right,
I
but
can't
it's
let it go. You know, it may be easy for
It's
some people to let that
1950,
go.
whatever. That was the main staple of movies and television, and would be for most of the decade and part of the next before things. I guess the Westerns sort of died off in the 60s. I mean, other than a Gunsmoke or something like that, or a Bonanza. But it became the norm, and it is a funny scene when the kids, well, first, when they're all sitting around making the plan of what to do, and there's this kid in a cowboy hat who has a voice that makes him sound like he's a chain smoking 8-year-old. He's just
exactly.
And the dead and the deadpan delivery.
Like,
you know, he gives it. Don't you like
kids?
Don't you want it? Yeah, don't you like it?
It's such an adult line
that
written for a kid, but because of that kid's voice and his demeanor, it's I mean, and that's what we were talking about on Twitter with Helen and Colleen. That he steals that scene and then some. I mean, you can't.
His name is George Winslow, and he did that a lot in a couple of other movies with Cary Grant and with another one with Marilyn Monroe in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and with Clifton Webb in some other movies. And Cary found him on the radio. He got into radio, heard his voice really, and brought him to I think to MGM or 20th Century, and they got signed. And so it just but as happens with children and voices, even though it was deep bass baritone there, it changed a bit. So but so look for him in these other films. I think Gentlemen Prefer Blondes might be on Netflix, and the other one he's in with Carrie is called Room. Okay, it's Room for More, or he's in a movie with his real life wife at the time, Betsy Drake, and they are adopting children. And this is oh goodness, he's the same thing. He's so.
Wow.
Go.
So was his voice like that as he got older, just a different variant of that voice?
It changed. No, well, I imagine it's a man. But it changed enough that he couldn't. And also coming from a kid, as you're growing, you lose that. The
joke's gone.
What's that coming out of that little person's that effect? So it's no. The joke, the gag is it's over. So he wasn't so employable.
It's one of those things that you
anymore.
want to I want to see what else this kid's done. It's the same.
Yeah.
They've got him cast as the setup for Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and even as he plays is priceless, and then even in the other Carrie movie, just the three things I've seen him in, including that. So it you can't wait for those scenes to come, knowing that they're coming. So and you just look for really. You'd be like, why wasn't this kid in more stuff? I don't think people found that enough. And then he grew up, and it was just, so.
Well, two things. There is the saying, never work with animals or children in the Hollywood. And this kid's worth it. And doesn't, I don't know. Sometimes when I see kids in movies, I like, I don't know, I can't help but think like Stage Kid or Mom's like 3 inches away, like rooting them on. And then I see a kid like the kid that was in Bad Santa, the Billy Bob Thornton movie that they're making a sequel to. Like, that kid kills me. Like, he's hilarious.
Okay.
And they're bringing him back for the sequel, and apparently he had to put on weight because he's like in college now and had slimmed down since making that movie as a kid. And but he's still like the same. He's still the same kid. But no, and that's what I'm wondering. Like, will it be as funny with him being that character who's now 20 something? Oh yeah, and Matthew is having a hard time hearing us, so he's trying to lip read. Hi Matthew, how are you? But yeah, that kid is so funny, so absolutely just makes that.
I would think it, you know, I mean, I could see not wanting to lose your glow to a kid being upstaged, but at the same time, if it's just kids, well, now they certainly have hour limitations and time limitation on how long they can work. But usually, they're just, even then, you don't see a kid on set, unless it was Shirley Temple, who they were her movies. She worked probably all the time. But for the most part, they just come in, they're there for a few scenes, it's gone. So it makes the whole thing that much better. But you've got really insecure people, no, you know, whatever. Or it's 97 takes, I don't know. But William Wyler was doing that anyway in most of his movies. And like, again, kid, no kid. So,
and they
you know,
all,
it is
well,
what it
a lot
is,
of them
but
have something to do when he gets them all to start singing. That's just lovely. Yeah. But when the lawyer friend Hank from across the way shows up, and the kids sort of get him to lean up against a tree and let him tie him up, and then they do a jump cut. Well, Cary Grant's character jumps out of the bushes, and then they do a cut, and then the next time we see him, he has a mohawk, and that's funny because.
Which is hilarious.
Because he is. Well, we find out that Ginger Rogers' character and him had kissed his kids, and also Hank says in the opening scene, like, why didn't you marry me instead of this guy? And he like lives across the street. Like, the whole thing has a weird vibe to it. So it was kind of.
It is, yeah. And he's the family lawyer. So they were they kissed as kids. He's the family lawyer, and he lives across the street. I'm like, and all of this seems to sit well with Barnaby. Okay. But again, suspension of reality.
Well, yeah, and there was something similar with this with Cary Grant in Mr. Blandings Builds His Dream House. And it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe there's, dare I say it, a little erotic, kinky side to they want to put in. I don't know.
I was expecting.
Because
yeah, do tell, Colleen. Do tell.
What's going on over there, Tracy?
Sorry, I don't know. I haven't. I haven't watched my glasses. I mentioned the hoo-hoo in a while. And
there was a lot of hoo-hoo talk last week. So much hoo-hooing.
Absolutely nothing's going on, and I don't. We're in hoo-hoo.
And I'm coming up next to Cindy Lou Who, who's going to give her egg.
Do you want to see? I'll show you my boomerang. It's my boomerang. Once a minute. So no. Well, you know, didn't you think there was some? Okay, maybe it's me, but you know, there's this three. It's like a theme where then there's this other movie with Katharine Hepburn, with Spencer Adams Rib, where there's another time where the friend is kind of moving in on Spencer. And
I do.
Remember?
I do.
You know, so my glasses are stuck in my hand. So, so yeah, Cary Grant, Mr. Blandings, there's his lawyer and business managers coming in on and schmoozy, woozy, you know, and it's kind of like, really? And the man's just waiting there, and I'm like, really, you're a lawyer, you didn't get married. Okay, there's either one thing going on or another thing going on. And it's sort of, there's a hidden undercurrent there, I think, where there's something like, what's this all about? you know, and in Mr. Blandings, he even finds the fraternity pin, her pin. She kept his pin. So this is another Cary Grant movie. So, you know, and then there's rumors about, you know, Cary, and he was married 5 times, but he used to take this vacation once a year with somebody. I'm not gonna
like
go on and on about, but if you do your research, there's the you know. So I'm just
it's very hush hush and on the QT. LA Confidential.
It was never, but it wasn't. It was there, and it's just I could care less. You know what? It don't make me, never mind. I wish all these things was, you know, out in the open, and people would just, it was like, love who you love, exactly. And just whatever, because it don't make it, you know, it's life's easier that way, you know. It just
indeed,
it just is. It isn't. It isn't. But it is.
So
I kind of was like,
so
what's the big
sort
old,
of the
you know,
chunk of the
go
movie, and this is when things get. I think things have gotten the most screwball when they're both on this potion drug, whatever. Barnaby and Ginger Rogers' character, she falls asleep. He's out in the backyard dealing with the scalping, and there is a neighbor woman who just has a quick little scene with Cary Grant, and then a woman comes up and says, "Hey, can you watch my kid?" And she's like, "Oh, sure," for an hour. And she puts the kid down on the ground, like, you have the whole yard to play with. And the kid is just sitting there and plays a little longer. And then the kid starts to crawl out of his clothes and into bed inside the house with Ginger Rogers' character. So when she wakes, she finds a naked boy, infant, and all of Barnaby's clothes. Oh, and also Paul Harkins was pointing out the paint. He really liked the paint scene. When the two of them are walking through the neighborhood, they cross a house being painted and slap some paint on each other, which is quite entertaining. Which is why Barnaby takes his clothes off to go do the scalping, because he wants to get the paint clothes off. And now Ginger Rogers' character is absolutely convinced that the drug has had more of an effect and brought him back to the point where he is now an infant. And that is, and again, strong stuff, exactly. And the screwballness.
strong stuff.
It is crazy.
But, okay, see, I'm trying to not come into reality to assess this, because it seems to me it's very hard. Oh my gosh, you don't understand how hard it is for me. It's screwball comedy, but I'm like, would it have not just run with me here? Would it have not occurred to her that they did not revert to 10-year-olds when they took that and they became 10? So why would he revert and become a baby? But also keep in mind that she act like a baby?
Just feeling the after effects of the drug, or is still on the drug when she comes to that conclusion. So she's
yeah, she's a little woozy, waking up. It's think about like half so hangover-ish, and
they did not actually revert to actually looking like they were 10.
The screwballness is that for her to be, you know, essentially drunk, and to have her come to a conclusion and then act on that conclusion is it's screwball comedy. It's like, you can't again, you can't, like, that would never happen, like all that stuff. That's what I know. It's
believe hard. Me, Joe, I'm trying. I'm trying.
Well, remember, we live in a post-Benjamin Button world too. So, not saying that was the best picture ever, but
it's
we're asked to
like people when Inception came out, everyone was just spending a lot of time ripping all the plot holes in Inception. But like, yeah, but it was still kind of fun. And
yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, there's and that's why I guess they call it screwball, because I don't know what that even means. Like
silly, ridiculous, like
silly. Yeah, like check your logic at the door.
Exactly.
And
it's supposed to be illogical, and I get it, but it's hard as when you're you're used to being rational on a daily basis, and then we can do it with other things. Like you're able to suspend belief in something like Avatar because that's a cartoon, and you know that cartoons are not, well, part of it is animated, so you know that that's not real. You're able to suspend some things in some movies, but I guess because this comes off with a plot that is could be based in reality, the things that are fictional, you're like, well, that would never happen. Why would you not taste it in the water? How would you not make, those are the things that you kind of like,
but I think
I'm trying.
I am not a giant. I don't like the Three Stooges. Sorry, and never have. And I.
It's okay. That's okay.
Right,
I'm
but
not
I know
I don't.
and I get it. And it's not like I'm against slapstick comedy. It just, I don't know. Even as a kid, when I watched it, I was just like, I do not want to hang out with these people. But I would see like. No, the Stooges themselves. Like I just
with the
like
Stooges or the people who like the Stooges.
Like you're spending time with characters, and when you volunteer your time, it's like I don't want to hang out with these guys. Abbott and Costello as a kid was more attractive. Laurel and Hardy, because it was a bit, it was essentially the Odd Couple.
It was more than just slapstick. There was some intelligence behind it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's more kinds of humor.
It was downright abusive to me.
Of course. Why would it not be when your last name is Costello?
Let me bring Paul Harkins in and get his take on it, if it is possible. And
Paul Harkins,
I'm sending you an invite, but I'm getting something about your device not being able to do this.
He's on an iPad, but he said he was watching on both because the iPad he won't be able to broadcast from his laptop. He can if he's got it set up, and he'll have to close down.
Let us know
the other device
when you're ready. If you have a device, I'd love to bring you on. And if anybody else who has seen the movie or not wants to jump on, at some point we want to, and we've talked about this before, set up a time where you guys can jump on with us and give your take on the movies. You're just so Paul, let me know the craziness of, and you can, again, it's the 50s. There has not been decades of comedy done. So the bit that there's a couple of hilarious, funny-ish attempts at comedy. Ginger Rogers is in the backseat of a cab talking to the baby, but it's all like, "You're my husband," and saying all the things that, and you get the
and the cab driver's face,
which has been done, and that's the thing. It's like, it's hard, like Tachi's saying, it's also hard to judge comedy when you have seen so much of it. The Frozen Snap thing that I started doing on Snapchat in like January, that has now turned into a part-time job I do. It is it was a ripoff of, I had to look it up because I was writing a blog on it. It was a ripoff of a show that only lasted a season called Police Squad with Leslie Nielsen that I guess turned into the Naked Gun movies, which I'm not a giant fan of, but some of it. But I always enjoyed the Police Squad bit at the end where they would all stop moving and they're just like, they're holding it like this and the credits are running. And you can go to YouTube. Actually, if you look me, I'm Joe Wilson TV on Medium. If you look it up, I have a YouTube link of there's only 6 episodes of all 6 closings of that show. One includes a monkey that keeps moving around. One's a criminal who like reaches in the cop's pocket and like takes off his handcuffs because all the cops are like, and I always found it funny. So now people on Snapchat are doing 10-second, what I'm calling frozen snaps, and I make a mashup video, and we're all doing that bit. And I know it's existed before that, but I don't know from where. So it's, comedy is always ripped off from somebody else. It's been done before, something along those lines, and it's really just point of view.
It is. But here's the difference. The thing I think is that everything starts somewhere. It's just the spin that you bring to it. And so what you are doing, dear Joe Wilson, is not only is it like a flash mob, basically it's a Frozen Snap flash mob that you have going every Friday. You also are doing this in a vertical format, which is something that's new. The whole vertical video revolution is something that's relatively new because it was poo-pooed before, vertical video, but because now all of these platforms are doing things vertically, it's causing people to start to think about vertical video differently. So, and then it's unscripted. It's unscripted. So that's completely different.
Well, thank you very much. The other thing that what's it? Blanking on. Somebody pointed out to me, she's like, I finally realized that you're just making us all not do anything for 10 seconds and be still. It's my secret plan. And then the sort of, the art school part of it is that's a
moment of
triptych.
zen.
It's 3 images together, and because no one is like, I have to rip all the sound because there are 3 playing at the same time, so the sound really doesn't have an effect on that. It's what's happening in each, and you're normally watching you're watching a snap, it's 10 seconds. Now you have 30 seconds, but it's happening in 10 seconds, and you can't watch all of it at the same time. And it changes how you interact with the medium. And there's remote.
Absolutely. Okay, and I have one more thing that's... Hey, Ramon! Hey! And see, he got home from work and jumped right on the Salon. How awesome is that?
Oh.
So, Wilson, let me tell you my favorite snap of yours of all time.
All right.
When you're dancing to the car alarm.
I remember.
That's the most hilarious thing ever. I still think about that sometimes, and I just crack up, and people are like, "What's so funny?" I'm like, "You wouldn't get it." So I have to tell you, that's my favorite.
I try to keep it in mind at all times.
I didn't see that one.
I almost did that this morning.
I missed the motivational chef.
I'm not motivated enough to do it.
And but it's hard to pick. And I thought for the longest time that my name is Mike and I'm a great cat. I thought I'm a great cat, and I'm like, he really is a great cat. But I had no, and then all of a sudden I heard people. I was seeing everyone else talk about he's a gray cat, and I'm like,
and both.
No, he's great.
Colleen, if that's what you think, hey, it's up to the.
Yeah, and I'm like, but no, yeah, and I was like, but that's wrong. It's wrong, and I'm like, I can't. 747s used to fly over my head every minute. I can't.
I thought it was great cat very well, too, but then it hit me when you did the swap with I can't remember who you did it with, but you did the swap, and he said, my name is such and such, and I'm a gray sweatshirt. I said, oh, it's gray, not gray.
But both work. I've had people snap me back with their pets, and they said great. The cat or dog was not gray. So it works no matter what. It works. Paul apparently is trying to load up Chrome. So that's browser. Welcome to browser hell.
Oh, browser, yeah. And then of course there's the sisters song when Lynn was visiting KZ and you. So I kind of sisters,
Oh.
So it's kind of I'm kind of nostalgic for sisters, which I guess can't be sung again until
that being not completely annoying to watch, because that's off of White Christmas, right? Isn't that from Sisters? Isn't that from White Christmas with Bing Crosby and forgetting? Oh no, I know, but.
No,
I was singing it, but it's
your wife, KZ, and Lynn sang Sisters.
Oh yeah. It's White Christmas.
Oh, I didn't know. Is it?
that up.
I thought it was an original. I thought it was an original Snapchat composition.
You could have left it at that, and we would have been none the wiser.
When Bing Crosby and what's his head, Danny. They're all
right. They are sisters
in war and they're singing, and then a wall comes and he saves Bing Crosby, and then they're a musical duo. They're back in the States, and he's trying to set Bing Crosby up and with someone who could be his wife. So they go to see the Sister Act, and that is the song that they sing. Sisters, sisters.
Yeah, and it's kind of, you watch that whole movie and then it's the
right. This is
at the end, it's snowing and they move the wall and the whole kind of
feeling.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't. Yeah, but no, I it's now Joe Wilson Snapchat KZ/Lynn original.
Exactly.
It's an original.
I don't.
Because I think it's from doing stand up. I would see jokes get stolen, and I would hate it. But people would steal jokes or premises or kind of, Jimmy a joke that it's like, yeah, it's totally his joke. You just changed like 2 things. Totally.
Oh wow. Well, the thing is that somebody can only ever get so far with that before
I agree.
They're gonna come a time where and it sucks, and yes, you're giving credit, and you've written enough stuff right now in your own right that obviously, and you're an innovator and creator, but luckily people, when they're and borrowing and being inspired by,
nobody can do it the way
it's a
you
different
do it.
thing,
And
I think,
you're going
where
to worry about trying to be original or whatever, you're too distracted with that. And I'm not saying that it shouldn't be a concern at some level, but a tiny concern, because if you're genuinely creating fast enough, when you're ripping something off.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, you like, did I see that? And you're constantly looking and going, who made it's if it's there in your mind, and the idea that something belongs to someone.
But you're supposed to be doing research anyway. Whenever you're creating and doing those types of things, you're supposed to be doing research anyway. So you'd come across something that was similar, if that was the stream you were thinking of.
There's a comedian, I knew him in Boston and hung out with him a tiny little bit when he popped out here doing a one-man show. Jimmy Tingle is a political comedian, and we were talking about shows, and he's like, yeah, I never go to a show I'm not performing at, because I try not to hear other comedians because I'm afraid to seep in. And I can totally, I get that. I get that a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because comedians.
But who could possibly remember everything?
Yeah, because the thing with when it's comedian, every little sort of culture becomes its own thing. And I used to do a show every week when I first moved to LA almost 20 years ago. And Zach Galifianakis was at that show, Chris Hardwick, Maria Bamford, Jackie Cation, lots of really good comedians. And there would be, and I was a guy, Eric Edwards, a very funny guy, and he would do a joke on stage. He's like, I love seeing all you guys at the open mic because I can steal all your jokes and take them on the road and you'll never know it. And it was kind of true. It was kind of like, but we would all sort of police each other. There is a kind of like, if you're stealing, well, it's not honor. I mean, it should be honor code, but it was just sort of
honor code.
Well, if you're constantly doing shows, I could definitely see how it would, and you're with the same people often, how their mannerisms would seep into what you're doing, because not unintentional, because
unintentional osmosis.
So I was doing a Snapchat story when I was in Vegas, and I was showing the room or whatever. And why did the what is it? What is the chef that you do, chef? Joe? The motivational. Why did his voice come out of my? I was like, antique motion. I said, oh my god, where did that come from? So it's because I spent so much time watching those snaps and then hanging around you.
No, I think it is. I was in an artist group in Boston. I lived in an artist building in Boston for 5 years. with people who are working all different mediums, and even that will, I don't know, it's part of the creative process, or can be part of the creative process, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because also on the flip side with comedy, there would be plenty of times where people would come up to me, or I would go up to them, and not a lot because it can be annoying as hell, but you would say like, hey, I thought of this tag for your joke. If you want it, fine with me. If you're not, that's cool. And then you tell them the tag, and I'm like, oh, that's good. And I've definitely had people say, oh, I thought of this tag. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm totally stealing that. Fine, steal it. So there's also, some level of that, especially if I was doing a lot of topical comedy, so the stuff was just dying. The material was dying very, very quickly. And Paul,
Right.
I'm still getting, you're on a device like that won't work on for whatever reason. So we're coming up at 15 minutes to the hour. I haven't looked up next week's film.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
We start the horror fest.
It's Horror
Little Shop of
Fest.
Horrors.
and so great that
Halloween horror
I
fest.
thought when
Week one of
Halloween. We're going to do a Little Shop of Horrors. We're going to do Plan 9 from Outer Space. There's no way those movies are going to cause a political discussion. No, there will be a way. There will be a way.
Maybe Plan 9. I'm just kidding.
Well, we have another debate. So it probably will be horrible. So be scared. Be fear and scaring, and I don't know, 1960 it was. So there was a debate that year.
Nixon sweat it out.
With Kennedy and Nixon. It'll have to parallel somehow. So yes.
And also kind of interesting.
There was a lot of
completely
perspiring
into
going
the abyss.
So.
But one interesting thing that I tripped over was Richard Nixon's one of his advisors when he was running for president was Roger Ailes, who is the guy who just.
Are you kidding me? Really?
Yeah, and when he ran for president.
You know what? That's
one of his
right.
advisors.
And he played some, nowhere near the games that are being played now, but played some similar hands, and that's who's advising Donnie. So funny to see.
Oh.
Well, that's it. The fact that didn't sink everything dead in the water there gives you some things up of the climate and temperature. Before the Billy Bush tape aired, Ailes was on board, and so the whole, this was all in the basket. I won't say the other word
Bush too was doing the backstroke.
Deplorables?
Nixon people too. Like Cheney and Rumsfeld were both Nixon people. So it's right. But what I'm just saying is, like, we've been churning through the same historic kind of things and people for decades.
Because everybody has an effect on everybody else. And you just pointed out the Roger Ailes. Yes, because obviously everybody has an effect on everybody else. So you're going to hear the same type of rhetoric, feel the same type of vibe. I don't know why people think things are different from, oh, this is going to be brand new. No, the hell it's not. It's the same.
They was all homeboys. They are all cut from the same cloth and running in the same crowd. There just wasn't much internet from the Cheney days and the Rumsfeld days, and it was 5 years old when they were all, when they got into, was the Bush administration, 2001. So what, 1995, 1996? The internet was around. I mean,
not heavily used.
Not a lot of people used to dial up.
The great
and,
thing about this topic is that it kind of fits in
there
with
was
our
no
next
Twitter.
two movies. So next week is Little Shop of Horrors, Roger Corman movie, and Plan 9 from Outer Space,
aka the Senate.
Trump's economic plan. I didn't know if you knew that. So, so it'll be fun to see. Plan 9 from Outer Space is a horrible movie, and it is known for being a horrible movie. We are watching it because we know it's a horrible movie, and we're going to talk about why it's horrible.
And Ed Wood had a weird kind of trajectory that he created himself in Hollywood, and was given a golden turkey for it.
It's great to watch these quote unquote horrible films because it just reminds you of the fact that anything is possible to get made. If there's enough money behind it. So I can't wait. It's going to be that's going to be a definite.
Paul Harkins is pointing out that Hillary started her career in the Nixon White House as well and got canned.
Yeah.
She was in the Republican White House. What?
Hillary wasn't always a Democrat. She was a Republican at one point.
Right, but remember, there used to be Republicans who were white nationalists. So I'm not saying that all Republicans are now, and they weren't then.
Exactly.
But what's going on with the hate group in America, hate groups in America, and we're just going to blow some stuff up in Idaho or where the hell, Kansas, wherever the hell, somewhere in the middle of the country. 3 Americans were going to be doing some domestic terrorist stuff and got busted planning it.
Oh, yeah. I don't
anyway,
know what
so
that was.
It was somewhere
in
America.
It was somewhere in the wholesome Midwest. So.
And they didn't give that the proper terrorist sort of
they have
thingy that it was, because it was.
Right, but then nobody wants to watch that story. Our sponsors aren't going to be happy with that story. They like this other crap. That's great ratings, because that is like to look at.
But it's
at the end of the day.
Well, and the flip side of it is the folks that you see on CNN that SNL makes fun of, like those people are hired guns. Like CNN chooses to bring them on. They're paid people to bring on. I'm not saying everybody, but all of the surrogates are paid guns, and CNN is like professional wrestling. And I'm not saying that every other news organization is the same thing, but it's professional wrestling. That is what it is. We're before the fight, when they both are like, "I'm gonna get you." Oh yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, they should have
that's what it is.
They should. They should really have chairs then, and get with it and stand on because otherwise, let's do what wrestling does then.
Or what is that
chairs
show?
And
the
divas
machine death match, where they have to build machines and they have to the robot wars. Basically, I would love that instead of the next debate. Can we do that instead?
And then we could push buttons and make choices also and control it a little bit, because really what these boys in Kansas were going to do was beat up on some Muslim people, Somali people, and that's that's
rhetoric is
this is it's not getting talked.
Oh wait, Paul Harkins, we've got 8 minutes.
Got it working.
Let's try it. You got a couple of minutes.
We love 11
exactly.
Stuff.
You watch how fast
he made it just in time.
All right, Paul. Oh, there you
Hello.
go. Paul Harkins, how are you? I can hear you. You can hear me. It's all working.
Mr. Paul.
Let's see.
Hello.
No, I don't want to hear the game. I just need the score.
It's 17-16, Jacksonville.
Oh, you want to hear the game?
Bears are losing. What's new?
Sorry for you.
Things happen.
So
how did you enjoy the monkey business?
I laughed. I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't have a frustration in the world. It was early this morning when I watched it. I sat here in the smoking room and just liked everything about it, how easy it was to watch. And
now, do you think because you were in the smoking room it was fun?
No, I've got bronchitis, so the smoking room's not much fun in the morning. I don't smoke.
Really should stay out
it's called the smoking room. That's what we call it.
Oh, okay. So there's no actual smoke in the smoking room.
Are you smoking hams or something, or like bacon?
So it used to be the smoking room.
I mean, it's still a smoking room. Laura smokes.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
smoke.
Yeah.
But, you know, she wasn't up yet anyway.
Can you guys hear me?
You're frozen.
I can hear you, but you're frozen.
We can hear you, though.
Hit a
Frozen, Tachi.
and so you pointed out you like
Yes,
the
I
painting
like,
scene.
and I agreed with you guys
which I thought
on
was a great
how
one.
they worked together. It was like they finally had somebody they could play with. I wish they would have done that earlier in the movie, because I really think you could have.
I kind of agree.
You
with
could
that.
have skipped the whole thing with Marilyn, you know, or maybe just her being as the office secretary, and the wife getting upset about her being there. But I thought it would have been much more fun if they both at the same time would have taken it earlier on and had a whole day of fun together as a husband and wife. What do you think about that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I definitely, well, for me, it wasn't, I'd seen it before, but it wasn't as funny when it was just
I agree.
One of them. I mean, that was, and I guess it wasn't, I needed that level of screwballness for the screwball comedy to really work. Like, it has to be that ridiculous for it to work. But yeah, it was great. It was great to see it, and it's definitely a time to watch some screwball comedy.
I thought
Tachi's
Ginger did a great job as playing I guess a teenager or 20-something in college, and you know,
Right.
I really liked how she did all that, and especially, you know, I really thought the hotel scene was funny because of, you know, the registration, and you know, she's acting like, come on, let's go, and he's like, you know, all I could think of was my brother's dating a 20-year-old, and God, he must be tired. Because we painted the house yesterday, and I got no energy today. So as soon as they come up with this little cocktail, I might just try. And it, you know, the little Kahlua glass. Did you see how it looked like Kahlua when he got done mixing it? And you know, I think the monkey was just going to make a drink.
Well, what I loved about the monkey was that the monkey kept putting the tops back in.
Maybe
that was like the way they trained the monkey. It wasn't like it was just pouring; it was putting them back and choosing. It looked like they were choosing.
Well, two things I wonder about the movie: how many scenes?
he was taking a little sip too. Cute.
You know, doing all the pouring. And when she put the glass on her forehead and laid on the ground, and I was thinking that was all one take.
You're right.
No, that's her. She's a dancer, remember, and her amazing control and balance. She was a phenomenal dancer. She probably got that all.
It just
well, I would say,
I'm guessing
her discipline and training, physical training.
I'm guessing it was a stage thing. I'm guessing
that's how.
But
you've seen her dance.
So doing it for the cameras was perhaps even easier. But yeah, amazing. Like I haven't.
No problem.
I'm trying to think of anyone else, and I'm sure there's thousands of people who can do it, but I've never seen anyone do that before.
Okay. It's just simple acrobatics and balance. When you can balance yourself, since you have a center of gravity, it's just, and it's from the dance training. You have to be balanced, or else you can't. And once you know how to balance and center yourself, that's all that's about. Is balancing. It's like when African men can carry things on their head. Same principle. Is being able to walk.
You know, talking like that. You know. I mean, I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm wondering, maybe. Well, actually, does Little Rascals predate this though?
Well, then they stole it from Little Rascals.
Yes.
Or
it was just the running funny bit that if you can get
I thought
the
Indian scene was hilarious with him and the children. Could you imagine though if they would have
Oh, yeah.
incorporated the wife
thought
into
that.
that and that whole thing? And I just loved how they mohawked the lawyer, because we should do that to all of them anyway.
Too.
You know, it's a good week when you can tie a lawyer up around a tree and give him a mohawk. Especially the one
Depending on which side of the law you're on. True. There you go. Ha ha ha. It's an ex-wife joke. Ka-chunk. All right, we are coming up to 1 minute of the hour. Apparently, Tachi, unfortunately, wasn't able to get back on, but we'll be back next week.
Thanks for having me on.
Paul, thanks for jumping on. Colleen, thank you for joining us. And so next week, it is Little Shop of Horror.
I've never seen that.
And it will be fun. See you next time.
See ya.
I haven't for a long time. Bye-bye, Colleen. Bye-bye, Paul. Bye, Todd.
Thank you.